So 2022 was a weird year for bicycles. It started off kind of strong with the tail end of the COVID boom that eventually went bust. What does 2023 have in store? In this video, I'm going to share with you guys my predictions for what's going to be trending and the new hotness in the alt cycling world. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with the hottest take, and it is that gravel is out. It has jumped the shark. What was once framed as the alternative to road cycling, free from all the rules and scandals, well, turns out it has its own rules in the spirit of gravel and has had its first big scandal this year. My big prediction, call me a cynic, is that since gravel is where all the interest and therefore money is, and people are going to take it a lot more seriously, look for more scandals at the pointy end of the race where people aren't riding for some sense of community or spirit or gravel or funsies, but munsies, or rather money. There have been little spats about appropriate tactics, about drafting using team members, but not quite a true doping scandal. And I think we're going to see that pretty soon. As the Notorious B.I.G. once said so eloquently, mo money, mo problems. And with the money in gravel, it's going to get interesting. Sort of along this trend is we're definitely going to see more of a roadification, if you will, of gravel, for better or for worse. I think we've passed that weird experimental stage where people were trying to figure out if gravel was going to be more adventure-y or more racing. And as always, because bike industry, racing always wins. So I'm fairly certain that whatever gravel bikes do come out in the next following years is going to be more performance-oriented, less mounts, less weird stuff. All right, so if gravel is the new road, then what is the new gravel? Well, I wouldn't be a very good friction-shifting, hipster, coffee-grinding cyclist if I didn't have an idea, right? I think 2023 will be the year of the ATB, the alternative terrain bike, or all-terrain bike, however you want to call it. I don't think it will make serious ripples in the mainstream bike world yet, just because there isn't an event to make money off of and for people to race. When did I become so cynical? I think in the weird alt bike world that we occupy in 2022, it was all the buzz, and in 2023, it will increase to a large hum. If you're curious about this topic, I did do a video where I compare what I consider to be 4 fairly modern ATBs. I'll link that somewhere in this video. Of course, a new bike category means new gear. In 2023, I think we'll see more alt bars come out. We saw a flurry of them at the last quarter of 2022. I think we'll see flat bars or alt bars with a more defined flat section to carry bags with. There's a few out right now on the market, but I think that will be a general trend moving forward. In some ways, I think the alt bar is to ATB as supple tires were to gravel. Another big trend I see is a rise in alt components. If you guys watch Hambini's channel, he touched on this, and I completely agree. SRAM and Shimano are abandoning any new development in high-end mechanical. They're going all in electronic, and I think this is an awesome opportunity for smaller brand manufacturers like Microshift, LT Wu, and Sensa to fill in that gap. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Microshift. I use their bar end shifters on a lot of my bikes, as well as the Advent X. A good example is the Ghost Grappler, which came OEM with Microshift rather than Shimano. My one fear about these, alt components, aside from them ironing out whatever quality control kinks, is that instead of offering something truly different, like say mechanical subcompact drivetrain, what they're going to do is try to target a less expensive version of what SRAM and Shimano offers. So less expensive hydro group sets, and no doubt copies or clones of electronic group sets down the future, and then we're back to square one. Another trend I see happening, which is kind of hard to articulate, is just this widening gulf between bikes. Expensive bikes are going to get more expensive. Cheap bikes are going to get a little bit more expensive, but I think we're going to see that great value middle range disappear. A good example is, say, like a brand like Salsa. It used to be that you could get an Apex 1 build of the Salsa Warbird for just over 2,000 bucks. So something around that $2,100 mark. Now the cheapest Salsa Warbird complete bike is $4,500. That is just bananas. Beyond prices, I think there is a definite seismic rift forming in kind of the philosophy of what a bicycle should be and what it will become. There's some like me who got into bikes because they are mechanical objects and I wanted to get away from the computer. And there are others that see it as a platform for technology and welcome all the electronic things. I'm not saying one is good or bad or one is better than the other, but I think it's undeniable that this focus on electronic shifting will affect the cost and the price of pure mechanical components. Personally, that's my biggest problem with electronic group sets. It's not so much that they exist. I'm glad that they exist for the people that love them. To make those components happen, they do have to pull resources from what would have gone into great mechanical components. I think it's definitely clear that both SRAM and Shimano are abandoning mechanical in their high-end group sets. And since that is what the pros are using, for better or for worse, it has an outsized influence on everything else. Moving from bikes and components for just a second, I think another interesting trend is this sort of implosion of cycling media. The brands are tightening up their advertising budget, and that's putting a strain on general cycling media sites for better or for worse. We saw Cycling Tips cull a ton of their editors. Some people speculate that these former editors will just get absorbed into the brands and we'll just all be swimming in the sea of branded press releases. Another option I see, however, is that a lot of these editors may give it a go and do the privateer model, start up their own YouTube channels, build a following, use their former contacts, and build up their own personal brands. I'm surprised more haven't done it yet, but it is something I'm sure we will see in 2023. In terms of bike marketing, I think we're going to see the bike industry return to its tried and true tropes. We saw Specialized axe their adventure ambassadors, and I know it's not just them. The marketing budget is the first thing to go, but it is telling to see who they will continue to support. And of course, it's just the pure athlete. Brace yourself for more Watts and weight weenie marketing. We're just going to see a return to the status quo. Forget this momentary dalliance with bike packing or adventure riding that doesn't involve a podium. It's back to the strategy of selling the small enthusiast market more stuff rather than trying to reach out other people. What else? E-bikes going to be more popular. No brainer there. And lastly, another sub-trend I've been following is the rise and return to coolness of the cargo bike. Usually regulated to just weirdos and families, I think cargo bikes are going to have their moment in 2023. There have been some interesting production cargo bikes that are a lot more maneuverable, a little bit more svelte than the big and venerable Bakfiets. And brands like Omnium, Brau Cycling in Barcelona, and Ginkgo Bikes are adding an element of fun and adventure to a segment that tends to be a little too self-serious. Those are my predictions from where I sit in the alt cycling world. Do you agree or disagree? I'm sure you're letting me know in the comments below. What big predictions do you guys have for 2023? Also leave those in the comments. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Hope you guys had an awesome holiday season and are having a great start to 2023 so far. And as always, keep the supple side down.